All right, this morning, pro-Palestinian demonstrations are still going on at a lot of local colleges around New York City, but the scene is much quieter than what we saw at Columbia University and City College on Tuesday night.
And the situation has presented many challenges for the NYPD. Here to discuss the response is Mayor Adams. He joins us from City Hall this morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Good to see both of you.
Let's talk a little bit about the arrests yesterday and I guess some this morning. You made mention yesterday that some of these people were not part of the school community. They were outsiders. Do we know who these people are yet and how many of them?
Well, as you know, I said when this started that something was different about the protests. It just was I don't know if it was my police gut feeling, and I asked Intelligence Division, Commissioner Weiner, to monitor the situation and see what was taking place. And it was materialized that there were outside agitators who were not part of the school community, as you indicated. But it was not only my observation, but also the school. When the president wrote us a letter asking us to come in, they indicated in the letter that there were outsiders that were also on the campus.
Mayor, do we know how many outsiders? Who are these outsiders?
Well, we have identified some, but I want to go to the number because I hear people often asking that, and I use the analogy often. If you have one bad professor educating 30, 40, 50 college students with inappropriate actions, you don't need 50 bad professors speaking to 50 students. You had individuals we identified instructing, training, showing tactics, participating in it. And if it's one, if it's two, if it's 20, that is what we need to be focusing on. We have people on the campus that should not have been there, and they were instructing students on inappropriate actions based on their history.
Did you hear about one of the organizers' husbands being arrested on a federal level for terrorism? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, that was part of the briefing I received, and that was really the tipping point for me. And we really leaned into the college officials and stated we're at a different place in this issue. Listen, this is a democracy. We believe in protests. We don't believe in violence, and we don't believe in destroying property, what we witnessed at Hamilton Hall. But that was the tipping point for me, that I knew that we had to take action before this continued to unravel.
You know, so far we've seen it happen all over the city, at Columbia, at NYU, at City College. With school getting out soon, any concern that this, or expectation even, that this might spread throughout the city beyond college campuses?
Well, I want to be clear, in the mere fact that you're asking that question shows how well the New York City Police Department, they have been doing their job. We've had over 1,000 protests since the October 7th terrible action by Hamas. And with that, the police department have responded. You're not seeing some of the actions you're seeing across the country. You're not seeing assaults on individuals, destructions of property in a major way, because with the summer months that's coming and other activities, we're going to maintain the professionalism that we're known for.
You know, we've talked before about New York City. The NYPD knows how to handle protests all over, but usually it's concentrated in one, maybe two areas. We see this going on in Harlem, down in Greenwich Village, because the college campuses are spread out. And if this spreads over to other places in the city, I think people are starting to become concerned a little bit, one, about the safety aspect, but two, about the cost. I mean, there are a lot of resources that have to be allocated to just keeping this within reason here. Should people be worried about the cost of this?
Yes, and that's a great question. And you're right. When the police department went into Columbia University to secure Hamilton Hall and also the lawn area, they were also at CUNY dealing with extremely hostile protesters who were throwing objects at them, including bottles and other dangerous objects at them. But they showed their discipline as was needed. But you had protests around the city, and even yesterday you saw a series of protests. This is when people talk about overtime costs for police officers. Many of those officers are doing 12 and 13-hour tours. Many of them are being called in or held from the previous tours. But that's the cost of public safety, and I made it clear over and over again, this city must be and continue to be the safest big city in America, and this is the byproduct of that, the cost that comes with it.
Any idea or thought about asking some of the colleges to contribute to the cost?
That is part of our conversation, particularly on private institutions. We believe that they too should contribute to the cost, and one way to prevent the cost from escalating is to have a zero tolerance. As soon as that tent goes up, it comes down. Do not allow this to continue to expand. That is what we saw at Columbia University, and that is what we saw at CUNY as well. And I have to really commend Fordham University. Spoke with the president yesterday. She was very clear on not allowing this to escalate, and as you saw, immediate action was taken, and it was not a prolonged situation like we saw on other grounds.
So, Mayor, yesterday you talked a lot about the radicalization of young people. You mentioned a professor giving misinformation to students. What happens to that professor? Do we know who that professor is, or professors?
No, I was giving what I just did just now, was giving an analogy because people are continuously asking, well, how many? Was it 60%? Was it 70%? Doesn't matter. I know how impactful a teacher was in my life, and if she was giving me or he was giving me misinformation or bad information, it could impact the entire classroom. This is what I do know. I know that a poll indicated that only 18% of 18 to 34 years olds are extremely proud of America. That's a problem, because that means our farm team, our bench, our next round of mayors and congresspeople and teachers and lawyers are not extremely proud of this country. And you see it when someone takes down our flags and institutions allow our flags to be removed. We have to stop it, and we can't allow our children to be radicalized over and over again. This is what happens across the globe. America must wake up and realize that's an attempt to do, and these are the steps that are used to do it.